Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys enjoyed your holidays. And today I want to talk about the DC future state. Saw the previews for the books and stuff like that. And I'm just not gonna lie. A lot of it doesn't really look all that interesting to me. Um, it feels like nonsense, to be honest. And I see that some of the current comic book runs are trying to lead up to the future state, but y'all said it's supposed to be a 2 month event, and now it looks like that's supposed to be the future of DC comic books. Why? I'm just being honest. Why? Because if that's the future of DC comic books, um, yeah, you might want to go ahead and just shut down the doors then, because it doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound like anything happened, fondly. It really feels like you guys just can't let the heroes catch a break. The future can never be better than what it is or anything. And here's another thing why a lot of people aren't receptive to the DC future state is you have to remember, think Batman Beyond, right? You have Batman Beyond that is supposed to be the potential future of the DC universe, right? With Batman, Terry McGinnis, or whatever. I'm just saying, instead of having canceling that book, couldn't you have rolled in all of that DC future stuff into that title itself? I would have preferred that being like, more of a focus, more so than this DC future state stuff, because it just seems so unnecessary. And it just seems so like the heroes working this hard for no reason. I think the only thing that might be interesting is Dark Detective, because it's a Batman title, and who knows? Like, what's the whole point of the other one? And oh yeah, that Superman on War World, that looks pretty interesting, but the rest of them don't look all that great. And then my thing is, have we noticed how the Justice League title is and Aquaman title, have female lead roles, and most of it is just like they reversed it. So it's only two guys on the team in Justice League, and the rest of them are female. Like, why? First off, why isn't Jackson on the Justice League team? You already introduced Jackson as supposed to be the new Aquaman, but yet you have the daughter of Aquaman and Mera on the cover, so you already know this book isn't going to be about Jackson. It's going to be about, the daughter. And then it's kind of funny, you introduced the daughter, yet you forgot that Aquaman and Mera had a son. So we're just going to ignore the firstborn son of Aquaman and Mera, like, just to force that whole female thing. And don't tell me that wasn't forced. That was definitely forced. And now the whole Justice League team is mostly full of female, and it's the same thing with the whole focusing on Earth 11 for right now, because it's a gender bent universe, which we already know some of these weirdos wish that women are mostly predominant. I mean, I guess so, if you don't want, that many people around on the Earth, because if there's way more women than men, who's there to produce? I'm just saying. But it's funny that they focus on that entire Earth 11 gender bend. How many more Earths are in there? Hell, you could have made a comeback for Kingdom Come. That was a definitely amazing story, especially when it showed up in the run of Justice League to not Justice League, but the JSA. Man, that was an amazing run right there. You could have did something with that one. Instead, you focused on that dumb crap right there with, oh yeah, let's focus on the gender bent universe because reasons. I'm surprised you didn't try, what was it, Earth 27, I believe. I think I messed up the designated number, but Earth 27, I believe, or Earth what S? Nah, it's one of those Earths where everybody's the main superheroes are black anyway. But I'm surprised they didn't really do nothing with that one, because they always want to do this whole forced diversity and stuff like that. And it's just like, the titles look mad. And my thing is, now you want to be like, hey, let's not try to do continuity anymore, and let's just do an omniverse, and hopefully everything is in continuity, but nothing is incoincidental. Like, What is the whole point of reading these books then? If nothing has a meaning, and if everything is everything or whatever, what is the point of being invested? That's the thing that I need people to understand. What is the point of being invested in these books? You can't be lazy. You literally cannot keep being lazy with continuity just because there are a few people who are too lazy to go back in the past or whatever. I'm sorry. You had something going on before pre New 52. And I remember listening to a podcast with Rob Liefeld when he was talking about when he was talking to one of the DC executives and stuff like that, and how he said that it's best to be second because he was like, when you're number one, you have to constantly keep proving that you're number one. And Dan DiDio, done behind, convinced DC and Warner Brothers, well, not DC, but convinced Warner Brothers, and that it'll be a good idea to reboot the continuity and we'll get new number ones. But remember, the New 52 hype only lasted for 3 months because you know why? Because it was a hot mess. The continuity was a hot mess. And you didn't even need to do that. That's the whole reasoning right there. You didn't need to do that. Like Rob said, if you stayed in second place, you could have did the stories, you could have had solid focus without having to keep explaining yourself. Because think about it, all these movies and shows usually get their history and base from post-crisis pre-New 52 DC universe. Within those 32 years of history right there, they take that and they work with it. They base everything off of those years. They don't really base anything off of New 52. They really don't. Because you know why? Because it sucked. And it's the same thing with Future State. Everybody was like, oh yeah, Laura Floyd. Okay, but nobody can tell me why we should be hyped for this character just because she's Brazilian. But you don't know if the story is going to be good. The story most likely will probably be lame. Because let's be honest, DC really hasn't been doing that great with Wonder Woman. And that's just real talk, which is kind of sad because of the fact that she has a hype anticipation movie. She had all that hype surrounding her from the Wonder Woman movie, and yet DC just kind of let the title just do whatever. So what is another character added to that mythos going to add? You guys don't even do nothing with Cassie, Nubia, Donna, or Artemis. But yet you want to try to push out this one character. This is basically supposed to be the Spider-Gwen, Gwenpool kind of deal. Or Miss Marvel deal, depending on what it is. Because if the book fails, you know they're going to keep pushing this character until it becomes a success. But they won't do it with the other characters that are already there. But the reason why the whole Future State thing is so stupid, because you literally had a title that was set in the future of the DC universe that you could have literally did that whole stuff with. And yeah, you could tie it with the Dark Knight, some death metal, whatever, and all that kind of stuff, which, yeah, let's be honest, this is an overbloated event of just like, let's stop. Let's cut this nonsense off. Because at this point, it seems like the Justice League run was building up to that. And then for them to constantly keep losing and stuff like that, it's like, all right, wrap this story up now. Now it's being drawn out. Then after that, you're going to do Endless Winter. And then what? The world's supposed to blow up and then we're supposed to jump into the future? And then another thing is, let's look at these Batman titles and stuff like that. Why is almost every Batman title got something to do with somebody taking over Gotham City, you know, putting the hit out on the Bat family, Bruce Wayne losing his money, losing everything. Now he has to start from basics, try to prove that the person that's controlling Gotham is really bad or whatever, and then have this anticlimactic fight for the future of Gotham City. I just don't understand what's going on with these stories. You know, hello, City of Bane, the war, Joker War. Then you had what the other two DC Black Label titles that also had, you know, Gotham City being ruled. It's up to Batman to stop all that kind of stuff. Like, all right, you know, how many alternate takes are we gonna have of this same damn story? Can we get another story, please? I like literally the only thing that really looks interesting is literally Dark Detective and Superman War World story. Everything else doesn't look any interesting because I'm not going off of word of mouth for the Yara Floyd. I don't care that y'all think that she's going to be a new it girl or whatever. We don't even know what the damn story is, and the story might not even be good. So all of this hype surrounding her might just blow up in DC's face. You know, then you doing that whole Generation Shattered event as well. So you got DC Future State, you got Future Generation, and then you have Endless Winter. These three events, and then you cancel all of your regular titles until March. But if the stuff that happens in the DC Future State end up in these past March titles, I don't know if people are going to be around because a lot of people already said they're not really interested in the DC Future State like that. They really aren't. And I don't blame them because who cares? Who cares about a potential future that where everything can go wrong? The last hero standing is Wonder Woman. I mean, that's great. I guess so. But you guys don't even want to even stay with continuity anymore. And you had two outs. You had two outs. You had the whole Rebirth event, and then you had Doomsday Clock. Doomsday Clock should have reset the DC universe before the New 52, and you could have continued from there and went right back to your strict continuity and just introduced new things. You could have, some of the ideas that you introduced in the New 52 could have worked, but a lot of these ideas don't work. And this idea right here with Future State isn't going to work. I'm already going to tell you, it's not going to work. Matter of fact, Future State should have just been a Batman Beyond event. It really should have been a Batman Beyond event. That definitely could have been your, what's that darn thing? Futures End 2.0. Boy, Future End was terrible. But at least with Batman Beyond, it had already established lore. So some of the stuff in Future State, you could have retweaked that, retooled it, and added into Batman Beyond and did like a major crossover event with Batman Beyond. Like, it'll still be its own thing, but you still have certain titles that'll be affected by it, but not as much, where you can still skip those titles and still go on to the next story event. You know what I'm saying? Instead of doing this whole unnecessary thing. I'm just being honest. All of Future State seems unnecessary. And it's not trying to hate on DC or anything. It's just the fact of the matter is like, why are you constantly doing these relaunches, reboots, or whatever? Who is these books for? Because the changes that you're making, majority of your fan base don't like. And that's just real talk. I don't care what these little Twitter stands or people on Instagram or whoever have accounts that are dedicated to DC comic books or whatever. I'm just going to be real talk with you because I'm a real fan. I'm not going to sit up here and just like everything you put out just because you put it out or whatever. You burnt me too many times, and you burnt your fan base too many times. We know the Omniverse exists, but that doesn't mean that you're supposed to be lazy and use that as your get out of free jail card when you don't feel like doing good stories anymore. You need to go back to a strict continuity thing. You need to stop trying to get rid of things that people love. And then here's another thing that everybody was like, oh yeah, because it's going to introduce all these legacy characters or whatever and junk like that and giving them time in the spotlight. Are you kidding me? When the New 52 happened, they got rid of all the legacy characters because it made the other characters look too old or whatever. So what are you talking about? You disrespected the legacy in the future of the DC universe when you did the New 52. Now you want to give people the Future State? Be like, well, you know, we screwed up, but hey, give us another chance. You already screwed up. You screwed up with the New 52. You screwed up with Future State. You screwed up with Convergence. You screwed up with DCU. Then you screwed up with Rebirth and Doomsday Clock. What more screw ups can you do until y'all stop with the nonsense? You got to stop with the nonsense. You shot yourself in the foot when you did this whole stupid New 52 crap. You should have known the New 52 wasn't going to be successful. I knew it wasn't going to be successful. As soon as they announced it, I already knew that it was going to be a drop right after that, because when they were explaining things, none of the stuff made sense. Nobody needs an edgy Superman. Nobody needs a bloodlust Wonder Woman. How in the world Batman and Green Lantern's event still happened, but everybody else rebooted? That don't make any sense. How in the world did Blackest Night still happen, yet Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Flash, Cyborg, and them are just now starting? That don't make no sense. That made absolutely no sense. And Blackest Night had so much tied to Infinite Crisis and Final Crisis that it didn't make no sense. I'm just being honest. That it logically made no sense. And look what you have to show for it. Less copies of books being printed, less people investing into it, split fan base, comic book stores going out of business. And I'm not blaming all of it on DC, but majority is on DC when it comes to these characters. You convinced Warner Brothers that you guys could be on top forever. But that wasn't your job. That wasn't your position. This is why certain things need to stay hobby level. When you become mainstream, it is so much pressure to stay on top. But the problem is, a lot of these mainstream fans or whatever, stuff like that, they don't care about this stuff. So when you make these changes, yeah, they might cheer and like or whatever, but they're not going out there buying the books. They're not going out there buying the merchandise. That's the fan base of old that you're trying to get rid of. You want to know how you could have brought in a new fan base? After the Flashpoint event, you could have just did a relaunch. You could have did a relaunch, but a relaunch to reintroduce the characters and where they're at now, not restart them completely. You could have easily did it. Hell, manga do it like almost all the time. I've been picked up some mangas that might be, in chapter 50, the volume is volume 50, and they give you a reintroduction to what's going on all the way up until now. Short summaries to give you a caught up moment. And that's it. But to constantly keep relaunching these characters, rebooting, telling your old school fans that you don't need them, yet the new fans aren't buying the stuff. They might buy a little bit, but they don't buy as much as the old fans, the ones who fell in love with this stuff. Then you're going back there disrespecting them, changing characters of old and stuff like that. Like, come on, get out of here with that nonsense, DC. You got to do better. And I want you to do better. I'm not here to hate on you because I don't want DC to go out of business. I want you to go back to basics. Like I said, Doomsday Clock would have been the perfect time for you to go back to New 52 continuity and work your way from there. Stop trying to please the 2020s modest or whatever and stuff like that. Let the characters be sexy. Let the characters have on their weird costumes and stuff like that. Stop trying to figure out, oh, well, we're trying to make things realistic or we're trying to match everything to the real world. Stop. That's your problem. You're trying to match things to the real world and you don't need to. This is a hobby. Your fans that grew up with this stuff, your fans who got into it prior to all of this nonsense, loved your characters for a reason. They didn't love it because you went back and made retarded changes to try to please people. You made good stories, and that's the problem. You don't make good stories anymore. Hell, besides what Detective Comics and Action Comics, there has not been any comic books that's even gotten into issues 200. You know what I'm saying? We haven't had any run that long anymore. You don't want to pay people, then you get these people up in here who actually hate the characters and hate the fans and retcon things that nobody asked to be retcon. Do you understand how that is stupid? I just don't understand what you're not understanding. That's all I'm saying, DC. You know, I wish you luck with the future state, but I'm not gonna lie, nothing really looks all that interesting to me. I'm just gonna wait until after March to really see what's going on. And if March looking good, that's great. If not, oh well, I'll wait until next month then. Because I'm not going to spend my money on a stupid event that I never asked for, that nobody asked for. After Dark Knight's death metal, you should have went back to basics. Once you destroyed the universe or whatever and stuff like that, that should have been your get out of free jail card to go back to pre-New 52 DC comic books. And I'm going to keep telling folks they need to go back to pre-New 52 DC. That is where your golden time is. And yes, of course, you had your golden age and your bronze age or whatever. I mean, your silver age. But your bronze age is that modern, classic, old feeling. That's what you need to go back to. Where you actually had stories that you actually cared about. The characters actually had development and whatever. And they wasn't just there just because. You just got to do better, DC. That's all I want. But yeah, that was a little video. If you guys like it, comment, leave all that fun stuff, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.